right, it is Tuesday night, and as usual, KHOP88 is on the air. Woo-hoo! Marnie Glickman beaming in live from Northern California. And joining us from New Jersey is Rick Marker, Hopkins hockey legend, Rick Marker.
I am around my house, yes.
Yeah, how many goals do you tell your kids you scored when you played hockey?
Actually, I was a goalie, so I got some stitches here that you can't, you can't really see. But yeah, I got hit one time in practice. I came out, I was like, I can skate. And then, bam, I took a hit to the face, took some stitches, and that's it. But hey, wait a minute. We're live now?
We are live.
What?
Wait, it doesn't say recording though, Jason. Are you sure?
It's recording.
Okay.
I see recording, but what I didn't hear was the music. The band didn't play us in.
Oh, that's added in. Yeah, you're in the entertainment industry. That's added in post-production.
That's post. Okay, so we're going to go long tonight, so there's enough to edit down into a real show.
Yeah, exactly. We take out all the cursing. There's a lot of cursing we take out, and then.
Oh, yeah. Allowed to curse?
Yes, you are allowed to curse. We support the First Amendment. Okay, so we are here and there's so much to talk about. You've already mentioned two important things about Rick Marker. One is you're a hockey dude. I honestly don't remember this. Tell us about hockey. And we also want to know about your life now. So let's just start with hockey since sports are so important to so many people.
So you're kind of going like full circle here because I'm still playing hockey. I'm still in the men's league.
Oh, nice.
And I do play all winter. Well, I don't know about this winter, but we typically play all winter, so it's fun still. But I'm going back, way back to the high school days, and I played growing up. All the guys, from Crow to all the guys, Joe Van Sloan, Steve Casola, all these guys I grew up with. And then we played together. I actually went away in 10th grade. Not a lot of people remember this, but my stepfather was the superintendent of schools in Edina, Minnesota. He was there 36 years.
Wow.
And going to the sophomore year, my stepfather took a job in Columbus, Indiana. This is coming back to hockey. Okay. So he goes down to Columbus, Indiana. I decided, I'll go with him. It was fun. So our sophomore year, I went to Columbus and played hockey down there. And we went to the state tournament. We came in, I think, third place. We won the third place game state tournament. But it was like there was maybe 100 people in the crowd for the state tournament game. Basketball is their thing, obviously. Every 5,000 seats in it. Similar to what Hopkins has now is every single gym in Indiana for basketball. So I thought, all right, it was kind of fun. I made a lot of great friends that I'm still friends with today. But I need to go back to Minnesota and I want to play hockey there. And I miss my old friends, Mike, Sage, Matt, Randy, Boondorf, Nelly, Muntz, A. Shapiro. Those are all the shout outs for tonight. So I went back to Hopkins and got back into the program, which wasn't a great thing to go and come back in. Politics play a big part.
Sure.
So I was struggling for playing time. Jason Crow was the number one goalie, and he was playing great. And I just never got in the mix, really, my senior year. And that was it. That was the legend, they say.
So one sports question, and then we'll move on, because Marnie is... Okay.
It's okay.
Marnie, we can get into the legal system and politics.
It'll be great. But Crow, we all know Crow. I mean, I grew up playing baseball and in Boy Scouts with Crow and everything. Sort of an enigma, like, a guy that I would think that if you were like, I'm a serious athlete, I practice, I try to be really good. In comes this guy. He's trying to grow dreadlocks. I don't think he practices very much, but he clearly was naturally gifted as an athlete. How was it being his backup and being like, man, this guy's in front of me? What the hell?
Yeah, Jason, it pissed me off. I had my game face on at times. Here comes Crow and listening to reggae. Just never took it seriously. It was pissing off, and I was so focused. I wanted to play hockey, and here's this guy who doesn't even give a shit. And he's out there kicking ass. And what am I going to do? He played football for Coach Weber, so I couldn't knock him off. So, but it was.
Will you help us get some of the hockey guys on? Maybe you can be
Sure.
one of our correspondents.
Yeah. We'll get
Doug's
those
been
on.
on. I tried to recently round up Mark Sauter and Patrick Delaney and just got stiff armed. They're shy. They're shy
They're
guys. So.
very shy, apparently. Yeah.
So you work in the entertainment industry, Rick. What point? I mean, is this something that you envisioned for yourself when you were in high school? Is this the kind of job that you thought you might have or hoped to have when we were at Hopkins?
Well, when the professional hockey career ended, in my mind, I wanted to actually be in television sports anchoring. And I worked at KHOP88 early in college. Well, even before that, and you'll appreciate, Jason, I worked for the Duluth News Tribune. And I did interviews in the Vikings' opponent locker rooms for the Duluth News Tribune. So I'd go in there with a microphone. So I started getting this idea that I wanted to be an on-air sports guy. I wanted to be, Mark Rosen and Schmidt. I actually worked under Joe Schmidt at Channel 5. And so this is a story that's actually never been told before. So this is an exclusive. So I'm at KSTP one day. It's a Saturday morning. And, I wanted to be on air and all this. And the paychecks were on everybody's desk. There was nobody in the newsroom. Sports don't come in till 2 o'clock. So it's like noon and I'm there way early to get my stuff ready. And I see Joe Schmidt's paycheck on his desk. So I go over and I'm like, no one's around. It was taped shut. I mean, come on, don't be so stupid. It was taped with just a little tiny piece of tape. So I opened up, I looked at his paycheck and I'm like, whoa, I can't be better than this guy. He's the greatest. I went to the North Stars Stanley Cup in Pittsburgh and he's and he's on air without any cue cards, nothing. He was phenomenal.
Sure.
And in my mind, I was like, I could never be better than Schmidt. So I taped his paycheck back. And by then I had already sent out some tapes and they had helped me make some tapes at KSTP. And I got a job offer in Alpena, Michigan, sports guy in Alpena, and a sports guy in Billings, Montana. And it was a full-time, prime time slot, $12,000 a year. I was like,
no.
And then I think back to what Joe Schmidt made, and I'm like, I'm out. So from that moment on, I got into sales, and I started sending out my resume to all kinds of television stations to get into sales. But my resume, in the back of it, had my picture, barely on the resume, so you could see me, and then all wording was over my picture.
Sure.
So I had so many people calling me, oh, that's the greatest resume I ever saw. And long story short, I ended up in Fort Myers, Florida as a account executive at one of the TV stations in Fort Myers. The market is Naples, Fort Myers. And my mother had a condo down there for free. The TV station gave me a car and I drove that for free. So I was able to save some money. And then fast forward a couple of years, I end up in Chicago, Tribune Entertainment, a subsidiary of Tribune Company, who at that time owned the Chicago Cubs.
Right.
And I became a syndication salesperson from the day forward. And that was about 27 years ago.
Wow.
So back then, I sold the Geraldo Rivera show to TV stations. So anything Tribune produced, which was Geraldo Rivera, Soul Train, U.S. Farm Report, my job was to go out to the TV stations. Oh, and we had Chicago Cubs television network at that time. That was pre Fox Sports North or later on UGN Sports. So I actually got to sell 75 Cubs games to TV stations around the Chicagoland area. And that's actually what sold my other shows because they were crap. So then after, and if I'm getting long-winded and boring on my career.
No, bring it.
No, this is great stuff.
It's your
Love it.
show.
Okay. So, and then I'll interview you guys later. So then from Chicago, I met my wife. She was in New York at the time, so we were long distance, and she ended up
What's her
moving to
name?
Chicago. Michelle.
How did you
So-
meet her?
We were actually set up. You obviously know Todd Brofman.
Yep.
Mhm.
Todd Brofman's wife was roommates with my wife in college at Arizona State.
Okay.
So this is where the women love to hear the story, men kind of fall asleep. But so they set us up long distance. We got together in Chicago, and probably, I'm guessing, Jason, to your story, you're forever Madison. Your wife probably is from Wisconsin.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yep.
Thank God I'm right. So, my wife's from New York. She was born in New York City. Her family lives not too far from where I am right now. We migrated to New York with Tribune Entertainment at that time, and my territory became Northeast. So then after that, I got hired at Warner Brothers, and I've been at Warner Brothers going on 16 years, basically doing the exact same thing I've always done. Anything Warner Brothers produces, Ellen DeGeneres, Extra, EMZ, Peace Court, Mathis. We've got 17 shows on there right now. I sell those to the local affiliate. My territory has grown from 11 markets to 38, and I cover all the way down to Florida, and a big giant triangle, actually basically east of the Mississippi is mine.
Okay. So how do you do that? How do you sell show? Like, it's so interesting. Really, how do you sell shows? Is it phone? Do you Zoom? Like, what do you do to sell a show?
Well, now I'm Zooming, but back in the day, last year, we would have let's say Ellen DeGeneres is coming up for renewal.
Mhm.
Ellen is not a show that is hard to sell. It's all about money. So I would go into a market and I'd be like, all right, I'll use Minneapolis. All right, Care, you've got Ellen DeGeneres, but WCCO is interested. So here's the price. They either will try to negotiate a bit and vice versa. We settle on a price. Hopefully you don't have to move the show. That's Ellen's show. It's easier to sell. Then you go in with Extra. And this is a long time coming. And I've been in and out of this market 20 times. And I say to the general manager, hey, buddy, I need a favor here. You got a couple $100 a week. I got to put this show on the air. Oh, and by the way, I'm coming out with another cycle of Big Bang Theory. So, I really could use some help with Extra. And and down the road, I have Young Sheldon for you too. So, can you help me out with Extra? So that, in a nutshell, is how kind of a under the kimono type thing.
So it's phone.
That's
like
great.
Now in the COVID, it's phone and Zoom.
Yeah, so I honestly don't love to be on Zoom calls all day. So what I'll do is I'll schedule KTVC in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I have a Zoom call with the whole staff, and we're just talking about some upcoming episodes of Ellen. Here's what you have to look forward to, the 12 days of Christmas, blah, 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 and kind of just do a conversation, just like I would in person, but I won't schedule 10 calls a day because that just wears you out. So I'll do, one a day for a full week on different shows, and just enough to keep you busy, but I'm really not selling anything. So it's just kind of, and then a lot of times I'll just pick up the phone and call somebody or text. Texting with a client is perfectly acceptable, not just in COVID times, but anytime really.
I'm really missing the phone. I mean, I don't do sales, but I, do fundraising and development work. And lately, I mean, I'm fine with Zoom, but I'm really like to pick up that phone and not be staring at my screen. But Rick, I don't have a TV, so I don't even know half these things.
What? You don't have a TV? Who are you, Jill Copstein?
Nice.
That's funny. No.
Huh.
So this is great stuff. I'm gonna go to the phones.
Oh, no.
But
Hey,
yeah,
we got a call.
I'm with Marnie. I've gone back. I've reverted to the phone now in probably just the last month or two.
Oh, I thought you were saying we got a caller now.
No, I was just, I'm gonna go to the questions. But like when you talk to someone on the phone, they're way more tied into you, I feel like, than when you're talking to them on Zoom. On Zoom, they're on their phone while you're on Zoom with them. Whereas if you're on the phone with them, they're talking to you on the phone and they're not doing
Well, the thing about Zoom is it's like, let's say we're sitting at a bar right now, we're having a business conversation or whatever. You know, you're going like this, look around, you know, you're hi, you know, yes, waitress, you know, you're not 100% focused on somebody. Right. Whereas the Zoom calls are just, you know, it's you and Zoom.
So it's a lot like being a school board member.
Oh, Mike Lesage reference.
I was
oh, you, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Not just Lesage, come on.
I like to tie back previous shows.
We're gonna weigh in with our audience here.
Yes.
We've got a number of hockey guys. They're bemoaning the fact that Jerry Weber could never capitalize on the success of the Bantam team coached by Rogan Swenson.
Yes. Are you kidding me?
Ceruno, Doug Robertson are in the comments right now talking.
Ceruno.
I'm going to get to a hockey question in a second, but Chris Camp Glazer is in. She's going to take us all the way back to the 9th grade formal at North Junior High, I'm imagining. She wants to know who was all in the DeLorean for 9th grade formal. Does this ring a bell? Were you involved in taking a DeLorean to the 9th grade formal at North?
No, not at all. In fact, I was thinking about this recently because my date was Heather Mazinga. And going back to, again, tying another episode of the KHOP show in, Elise Hope was Todd Brofman's date.
Wow, we just need to get Brofman on to get this whole thing tied up.
You don't want to go there. No, but seriously, I don't know how we even got to that night. I only remember Heather and my little group of people, but I don't remember how we got there, or I assume a parent.
Okay, wait, we're not gonna drop the DeLorean, but what do you remember about Heather? She was such a great guest.
Oh, I remember everything about Heather. Heather's a good friend. Heather, I still talk to Heather now and then.
Okay.
You know, we correspond. Her son plays hockey at Penn State, and so we've met with her husband. I mean, we've all been together.
So Hockett's on the line. Dr. Matt Hockett's on the line.
I call him Docket.
Docket. This is great. He says, in 2003, Rick sent me a bunch of DVDs and t-shirts and other swag when I was stationed in Kuwait. So that's fantastic. Like,
you know, the fantastic thing that is, and this is what I'm most proud of. I was in college. It wasn't 2003, he said?
That's what he says. That seems late to me too, but maybe
he's not that smart. I know he went to MIT, but that was just a dumb thing to say. It was like 1991.
Okay.
So I don't know. This is actually
that would have made sense that he was in Kuwait in 2003. Yeah. Now he was probably in something else in 91.
Maybe I'm the dumb one. You know, that's starting to make sense. But yes, I went to the drugstore and I bought these little army men. You know, you throw them up in the air and they come down with their parachute. Sure. I sent him those. I sent him some like little tiny board games, checkers and stuff. Matt and I were talking about that recently. I don't know how I even knew his address to send something to Kuwait. Like, it just doesn't seem like me to, but I did. But yeah,
that's fantastic.
Matt served our country and we're grateful for that. Thanks, Matt.
Doug Robertson wants to know, hockey question, Islanders, Devils, Rangers, what's your affiliation at this point?
It's a good question, Doug. Thanks for the question. I am, believe it or not, I was already gone from Minnesota when the North Stars moved to Dallas, but I became a Wild fan just by virtue of loving Minnesota. So people around here laugh because on the back of my car, well, on one side, I've got the University of Alabama, where my daughter goes. And on the back, I have a Viking sticker and a Wild sticker. So I'm a Wild guy.
Yeah, that's endangered species in New Jersey to be flying the Minnesota. Do you run into Minnesotans where you live at all?
No, but the crazy part is in my town, 2 people have Packers crap on their cars. So I don't like that.
That doesn't surprise me. Packers fans are everywhere, and
unfortunately
they represent.
They do represent well, but nobody cares about Minnesota here. It's like, if you have a Jets sticker, somebody might be like, oh, I'm a Giants fan, something like that. Yankees are everything out here, and the Mets are nothing. Yeah. So hockey-wise, I'm in an area that's New Jersey Devils.
Okay.
Rangers and Islanders are still New York and Long Island teams. So nobody bothers my Minnesota Wild stickers. Thanks for the question, Doug.
What else about living on the East Coast
please.
Is, because I'm trying to think here if we've got anybody else, if we've had anybody else on the show who has moved out to the, I mean, I know Eric Haugen lives up in Boston and he's spent time in New Jersey, but
yeah,
that's sort of at odds with the whole Midwestern, Minnesota.
Well, again, I go back to the wife. And, just like you in Madison, I'm in New Jersey.
So do you
if
love
I could be back in
New York?
Minneapolis, awesome. I'd love to be back in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Do you love New York?
No, I actually hate New York City.
Why?
I like to go to, well, it's just, you work there and you see the hustle and bustle of it every day. It's like, I'm a suburbs guy, growing up in Hopkins. When I travel, I never stay in major cities. When I go to Tampa or Washington, D.C., I'm always like D.C., I'll be in Georgetown, but like Tampa, I like to be out of in the suburbs areas. I like the quiet. I don't like cities. I don't know why.
I'm the total opposite. I want to be right in the middle of everything.
It's funny because there are those that are like, I tell my kids this all the time. People from all over the world are dying to come to New York City, and none of us want to go in it. Like, I'm going in for I was invited to the NBC Rockefeller Center Christmas tree lighting next week. So I will go in for that, but I'll bet you I don't go to the city 5 times a year.
Wow.
By design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about Coach Jerry Weber. Maybe he had some influence on you, but we've asked this of every guest we've had. What teacher do you remember having a particular influence on you, or that you still think of on a regular basis?
Well, he was one of your guests, and Ramon was actually one of them. Because when we were in 11th, starting 12th grade, we were always in the guidance counselor. And Ramon was, I remember, I used to call him Ramon. Because I used to say, Ramon, he'd be like, roll the R's. So it was always Ramon. So anyway, Ramon was always kind of a big influence. And I kind of, when he was on the show, I think I wrote in a comment about Ramon. And that was when I was, for those that didn't see it, I went into Ramon's office. He says, Marker, come on, let's talk about college. So we go into his office and we sit down. He's sitting across from me and he says, so what are you thinking about college? Where do you want to go? I was like, well, I'm kind of looking at Colorado College, University of Denver. I love skiing. I love the mountains. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And he's staring at me and he goes, I got something for you. Opens his drawer. And back then, we weren't going to campus to campus to campus. I took my daughter to 16 schools.
Yeah,
we were doing none of that. We saw pictures from a pamphlet. Right. He pulls out this pamphlet and he goes, Colorado State might be for you. And he has the Colorado State pamphlet. I'm like, yeah, it looks great, but I didn't apply that.
So you went to the U of M?
University of Minnesota. Yep.
Were you, because I went to Madison and there were about 30 kids from our class who went to Madison. And you know, you obviously would gravitate towards Hopkins kids, but you know, there would be a point where you would sort of say like, okay, I'm, you know, maybe even just a specific night where you would choose like Hopkins guys are going to this thing. Guys I've just met are going to this thing. Did you gravitate toward Hopkins guys, or did you say, I want to branch out and meet people from everywhere right now?
I ended up, I got into the University of Minnesota very late because I hadn't decided on where I wanted to go. I was really kind of hoping to go to Miami of Ohio. And at the time, I wanted to play hockey for Miami of Ohio, but you know, I didn't have much tape to give them at that time. And so I then committed to the University of Minnesota. So I got my housing at Frontier Hall. And for anybody that knows the University of Minnesota, Marnie, you went to the Minnesota, right? University of Minnesota?
Georgetown.
Oh, Georgetown. Okay, good. So I'm not saying anything
But
bad
I've
about
been to Frontier Hall.
Yeah, we've
Okay,
all been
so
to Frontier Hall at some point.
Frontier was not the Sanford Hall at the University of Minnesota. It was like, you know, 4 walls and you're staring out into an alley. So I then decided to join Sigma Chi fraternity.
Gotcha.
And I got to live in the house. I'm like, this is way better than Frontier Hall. But that was the reason I joined a fraternity. So all the guys that I met in the fraternity, most of them were from Wisconsin. They're coming to Minnesota. So a lot of my good friends were from, you know, Menominee and where were they? Kenosha. They were all over Wisconsin. So, you know, I gravitated toward the Wisconsin people.
Imagine that.
Right?
Now you're in New Jersey. Amazing. We just learned of a Hopkins High alum, our classmate who lives in Brooklyn, Ned Mansfield. Did you ever know him?
Of course I knew Ned. Ned's a guy. I didn't know he's in Brooklyn.
Yes, I heard on on Facebook that he's an artist in Brooklyn.
Ned was
There's been some
guy.
chatter about Ned recently. His picture showed up.
That was the one where he's sitting on the stairs all cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we all have one of those pictures. And they're
with
not
his
that
Walkman
cool.
on.
I didn't sit on those steps. I went right into the library.
So
I didn't set one foot in that library ever. I didn't know we had a library.
But that's where we would get the, I'm sorry, but this is where we would get the stamp to get out of the parking lot.
Oh, I had one of those. My
the little date stamp.
Yeah.
So Heather Mazenga has joined us, and she has declared that you were always such a gentleman, Rick.
She's right about that.
This is good. Yeah. So
thank you for your comment.
You know what we haven't talked about much on this show is prom. Did you go to prom, Rick?
You know, I was dating a girl that went to Blake, and I went to her prom, but not our prom. Yeah.
Tell us about Blake prom.
Yeah, bring it.
I'm telling you, there were streamers everywhere. There was balls that were spinning. Well, that sounds bad. There were disco balls that were spinning.
Where was it? Do you remember?
A country club.
No, I do know. I think I know. It was the old Rupert's.
Oh, really?
That's where
we had reunion.
That's right. But it wasn't Rupert's for our reunion.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't it called something else? Metropolitan.
Okay, so you went to Blake prom. You didn't go to, you went to the North?
No, I'm wrong. It was at Interlochen Country Club.
That makes more sense.
I was thinking of our high school reunion. Sorry.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense, actually.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, there were spinning balls and balloons and all kinds of fun stuff.
That's great.
So one of the reasons we started this show, as we bring up on our regularly, is because of the pandemic, and we've talked about it a little bit. So is there anything new and interesting that you've started doing in the pandemic?
Well, early on, like right when first of all, we were put on lockdown before anybody. Well, San Francisco was right there with us. But we're on lockdown, and I'm calling everybody in Minnesota, and Matt Hockett and these guys were all on a group text. And I was telling them what's going on. Well, that's not going to happen to us. That's just you guys. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's going to be everywhere. I'm telling you, you better go to Target now and stock up. No way. That's not going to happen here. And so early on, I ended up I was on lockdown before anybody. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know, I'm talking to my friends. Yeah, we're going out for dinner tonight, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, our restaurants are closed. Really? Like nobody could believe what was going on.
Mhm.
And so, and at that time it was still cold here. We had a couple of snowy days. So it wasn't like I was going outside very much. And I started doing puzzles. Well, let me rephrase that. I bought a puzzle that was a Minnesota Vikings US Bank Stadium puzzle. And it was like 500 pieces.
Okay.
And like, I'm colorblind. So this puzzle shows up and there's all these black pieces, purple pieces. Like I'm staring at Chinese checkers with this thing.
Wait. Did you choose this or the wife?
I chose it. And I thought it'd be fun to, by the way, I also did some TikToks with some colleagues out in California. So that was some of the dumb things that I did during
You
the
have a
beginning.
TikTok account? Can we all look at?
I honestly don't know what it is, quite honestly. You can Google, I don't know how you find out, but I have one TikTok video that I did.
Okay, we'll add it in the captions later. So
Right.
See if you can
tell
find
me more about how are you colorblind and why the heck would you get a puzzle if you were colorblind?
Listen, when you're staring into the abyss of lockdown and you don't know what else to do, you get a puzzle and you make it so that it's impossible to put together.
Right.
Because you've got all the time in the world to put it together.
So that's what you were thinking, really? Like, I just have all the time. Well, you want to know something interesting? So we went on lockdown in the Bay Area on March 16th, and the puzzles were sold out by
right,
then.
people were going to like
All the
Walgreens and buying like a dog puzzle or something.
Yeah, all the New Yorkers and New Jersey people bought all the puzzles before the Bay Area
Right.
could buy
Well
them.
ahead of everybody else.
Very, very smart. I told you, I was at Target on February 24th. So anyway, so wait a minute, hold on. I gotta put a bow on this puzzle story.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So I spent 2 weeks trying to put this stupid thing together. 2 weeks. And I had like a little tiny corner, like where the scoreboard of US Bank Stadium is. So I took this whole puzzle and I sent it to Mike Lesage. But what I forgot, I took a piece out so that when he finishes it, he's all mad because there's one piece missing. The problem is I forgot that I didn't know where I put that piece once I took it out. The game was going to be send him the piece later and all is well. But I lost the piece. So Mike puts this, well, actually Mike's wife, Cindy, put the puzzle together in like 24 hours. So now, including today, I get a picture of a puzzle put together. It's probably like 1,000 pieces that Mike just sends me. It's just a picture of a puzzle put together. It's embarrassing. My kids think I need to go get like a 6 puzzle piece. You know, they sell like, or you have them at the pediatrician's office. 6 puzzles, wooden, you know, the wooden ones.
The knobs on them? Yeah.
Yeah, the knobs. That's what I need to do.
That's great.
Have you always been a jokester?
Yeah, as far back as I can remember.
Yeah.
That's where you need a laugh track coming in.
Well, it's funny because that again, we haven't gotten into that very much either, but like,
I got time.
There's something, right? Maybe high school, probably starting as early as elementary school. You score a laugh in class. It is like the best thing ever.
Gold,
And
except for teachers don't like it.
Teachers don't like it, but you got cred with your buddies and maybe people that girls or something that you want to be your buddies, and they're, all of a sudden you look good in front of them. Was there a moment?
You're singing my song.
It's pretty good. I think it sets the tone in many cases for people's lives. They're like, this is good and I want to chase this now.
You know what? I'll tell you a funny story. Speaking of being the class clown, we had Spanish in 11th grade with Senorita. Dang it, I can't remember her name now.
Well, I'm remembering Senora Meyer was my Spanish teacher.
That was it. That was my Spanish teacher. Thank you.
She was sort of easy to clown on, but yeah.
Well, one day I walked into class and I started speaking. I said something to her in Spanish, and like everybody was just sitting there, just sat down at their seats, and she starts speaking to me in Spanish. And I knew enough where I could have like a dumb conversation with her. And so I'm having this conversation, and she says, like, we finished this conversation. Everyone's clapping. We had a great conversation there.
Yeah.
So I'd forgotten about that story. So fast forward to our 20th high school reunion. I see Ted Sjogren. Ted Sjogren comes up to me and he says, I have to say, you inspired me. And I was like, how'd that happen? Like, that never happens. My kids don't even say that. So Ted says, he goes into this story about Senora Myers and me speaking together and having this whole conversation, that it inspired him to really dive into Spanish. And he went to Mexico and was or something. He was doing something in Mexico, and I inspired him to get better at Spanish.
Wow.
So he tells me this story, and then we go to Rupert's for our last reunion. And I told Ted that story. He goes, I don't remember that. Like, you told me this story. What do you mean you don't remember that?
Great.
Because I wanted to, like, I left that reunion thinking there's got to be more to that story. It's such a good story.
Right.
I feel good. And then I asked him, he can't remember. It was like 10 years ago.
Yeah, what the hell? He was big timing you, I think.
Well, that's-
Yeah.
That's why
That
it's
was
so,
nice.
it's interesting, the memories, how they come and go. It's okay.
Most are gone, quite honestly.
Well, they come and go.
They're starting to leave. Well, so speaking of that,
Yeah.
is there anything that you thought or hoped that we would talk about during this thing? Like little nuggets of something that you saved up in your head that you wanted to make sure we got to?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. I think
New
Rick,
Jersey's gone.
Rick locked up. He's got a great look on his face right now, too. Well, we'll see.
Zach has gone frozen.
We'll see if he comes back. Let's hope he comes back. In the meantime, while we're waiting for him,
It's funny. The irony is funny.
it is pretty funny. He sort of seems like he's still thinking about it.
Okay, yeah. So Jason, we have some good shows coming up.
Yeah,
We
I'm
have
like,
great people thinking about it. I'm not going to unveil it right now, but we are on track for amazing shows in December and January and February. So I'm really excited about it.
well, I know that next week we're locked in with Laura Etnier and Kyle Smith.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we've got a lot of reserved dates, but no firm commitments at this point, right?
It's happening. It's a
Okay.
surprise. No worries, everyone. You're all going to be on the show. So I'm sure Rick, the entertainment exec, might be having some anxiety at this point. I was really happy to talk with him, Jason. Is he?
Oh, here we go. He's coming back. I got him. You had to take a while to think about it, didn't you?
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
I don't know what just happened. All of a sudden, my Wi-Fi went dead here. It's like I'm,
It's been known
living
to
out in
happen.
Costa Rica.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, the irony of it all.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about that. I
No
totally
problem.
ruined everything.
No problem. It allowed us a chance to hype next week's show. So we didn't
good.
miss anything. Yeah.
So now I'm back in.
Yes.
We're back in. Right.
We're back from commercial break,
Right.
and you can see me okay.
You're all good. Yeah, it's great.
All
You're
right.
on. You must be on your phone now. You look slightly different, but yeah.
I am on my phone. What do I need to do to look better?
Perfect.
Well, we were asking you if there's any other material you prepared for your very exciting episode that we
There
didn't
is-
cover yet.
There is something that we didn't cover yet that I really feel kind of badly about, and I want to go back and rectify the situation.
You have
Um,
time.
Jesse Lehman was on the show not too long ago, and I trolled Jesse on this very show in the comments, where I made a comment about, I guess it was a story that I made up, and I said that Jesse and I had met some Minnetonka girls, and the story I told them was that Jesse was responsible for the song Jesse's Girl by Rick Springfield. And they bought that line and everything was great. And when you guys asked Jesse, Jesse's never lied in his life, first of all. So Jesse goes, I'm not remembering that. It was so funny. But anyway, I trolled Jesse. Sorry, Jesse.
This has happened a couple of times where people bring something up in the comments and we'll bring it up and the person will go, yeah, anyway, they'll just gloss right over it.
That's why you shouldn't take any questions from Mike Lesage.
I think Dr. Mengi has been coming up with some real spicy ones.
He has. He's been
Ooh.
dropping it. He's been dropping in.
Let's hear it.
So yeah, Mengi did not join us tonight, but we'll have to get more of these. So anyway, just a quick roll call here. So Doug Robertson was in, Chris Camp is in, Chad Alt is in. Chad Alt, we need to get Chad on the show. Chad is our frequent flyer. For
He's
sure.
probably got some really good stories in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Amy Opog has joined us tonight. Steve
Hi.
Simon, Tanya Peterson, Rachel Arvidsson, and Troy Finn have all chimed in. So.
People I go way back with. Steve Simon and I have been literally friends since the day we were born.
What do you mean?
Steve's mother and my mother were very, very close. And in fact, we shared the same birthday. And Steve's dad was a lawyer, and my dad was a lawyer, and they worked together in the same firm. So Steve and I literally grew up. I have pictures of he and I in a crib together.
Wow.
Wow.
I love these stories because we've had like 4 or 5 of them now of people who like John Cookett and Rich Lindstrom or Natalie Ojeda, right? And Karen. They're like, we were born in houses right across the street from each other or whatever. So I didn't know that about you and Steve.
In fact, in high school, our senior year, Rick Eberhardt and I ran for student body president.
Yes.
And we weren't political guys. So it was Bill Hobbs and Steve Simon were running together. Crow, and I forget who Crow would. Oh, you were in there too.
Marnie Glickman and Mike Lesage.
Marnie and Mike. That's right. That's right. And so as the story goes, Steve Simon and Bill Hobbs finished behind Rick and Rick. We called ourselves Rick Squared, Eberhardt and I. And I used to joke with Steve that if he can become Secretary of State, I can become the governor.
That's
So
right.
I used to joke with Steve.
It's only logical. I like it.
Okay, I have another question while you're still here, since we're talking about memories. Do you know who started the great tennis ball fight?
I was not there for that. I was in Indiana my sophomore year.
That's a
So,
good alibi. Okay.
I got to, if I were there, I would have probably started it.
Eberhard is on the show. Like he just weighed in with an LOL. I don't think Eberhard's joined us yet. So
Come on, Eberhard, get on this show. He's got some great water skiing stories.
we will get Rick on. We've been trying to get hockey people on, so we're gonna dial
Rick,
up Eberhard.
There's your invite, Eberhard.
Everyone is invited. Everyone will come on in
But
their own time.
This is the very special Thanksgiving show, and I really appreciate you guys booking me this week. If we were all back home, we'd be at Champs Minnetonka having a great time.
That's true, and I think that, I mean, I don't know at this point how many people hang out the night before Thanksgiving or the night after Thanksgiving or whatever that was, but those were great. Those were always really fun to show up at those bars when I would come back for Thanksgiving and I would call Hockett or Brian Sanham or something and go, what, are we doing something? Like, are people doing something? And
then after a while they were like, no, my kid's got a cold. I can't go out.
Right. But again,
My
this
wife's
is always a
being a pain.
lesson for like the millennials in my life. Like,
Right.
we would go home for Thanksgiving pre-internet and figure out a way where we would be at T Wright's and there would be 50 people from our high school class.
Now you're talking. Or the scoreboard in Hopkins later on.
We figured it out.
Yeah. They're figuring it out now. It's just behind their own closed doors.
Exactly. Yes, that's
Right?
true. That's true. So yeah, this has been a great, very special Thanksgiving Day issue.
God, I haven't even touched on like 65 stories. Like, it's so much left.
We'll have to
tell
have
you
you
what,
on for an encore performance.
If somebody at like a quarter to the top of the hour doesn't make it, their internet goes out, I'm around.
That sounds good.
Okay.
I've got your number.
I'll be
We
your
will-
fill-in guest.
We will consider this strongly. And maybe we will have to bring on some repeat guests to get this hockey show off the ground.
I think the hockey show has to happen. I mean, it was interesting. How many we had? 5 people max on the show. It was a little chaotic, but it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, we only had 5 people on this show tonight?
No. On the Zoom.
We had
Because
5
I-
guests one night, and it went
Oh,
better
that's
than
a
we
lot.
thought it would.
Yeah, I was envisioning all the hockey guys.
Yeah, you know what though? If I had 5 people on the show, they wouldn't have a chance to talk, so that wouldn't be very good.
Yeah,
That's
true.
That's
Well, do you
definitely
have
true.
do you have any other questions for us?
I do actually. If you don't mind, I'd like to turn the tables a little bit.
Chime right in.
So I'll start with Marnie, ladies first. Marnie, you do some really good work out there. You are an inspiration, and I mean that truly. You do a lot of good for people, and I don't know that everybody knows exactly what you do, and if you wouldn't mind tooting your own horn, I'd like to hear it.
Oh, that's nice of you. Well, I have always been a public interest advocate, and so I've worked for progressive candidates in Congress people and different public interest causes, environmental causes. I'm being modest. But then I was sick of writing speeches for other elected officials, and I was like, the hell with it, I'm running myself. So I was elected to a school board here in California, which I was very proud of and served here. And so I just slog away at making change, and it sounds so cheesy. Thank you though.
It's good.
That was very exciting, and I'd like to hear more of that.
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
on my encore presentation.
I would say, well, it's a little embarrassing.
Hey, listen, I just spent an hour talking about myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, good. Nice try. Try Jason.
look at the lawyer in her.
Right.
I would say, well, no, I appreciate
We
it.
call that redirect.
Yes.
Exactly.
I appreciate that. I am very grateful to work for amazing people. And so sometimes I'm in front, but most of the time I'm not in front, and that's okay. It's interesting, after being an elected official, I actually appreciate my privacy a lot more. And so as my profile has raised as a public interest advocate nationally, I desire more and more privacy.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Makes
because there's negative, whether it's being under surveillance for my activities.
Ooh, now that sounds like
When I
something
was a
good.
school board member, I had a death threat made against me.
Can you imagine Mike Lesage? I'm guessing he's getting death threats every day. I mean, going back
This
to
is my poker face.
I bet though that Mike would never say it out loud, but I bet that being on the Minnetonka school board, we're like, hey, Minnetonka, it's all great out there. We all grew up there. It's very nice. He feels the heat on some things that I bet he didn't even think that he would ever hear about.
Of course not. It's too late to quit.
Yeah, I appreciate the question. It's interesting. I don't think I'll ever run again. It was just too high profile.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
And that was kind of interesting. I never really, just very minor profile, but it's just uncomfortable not to be able to go to the grocery store without people yelling at you.
That you know what? I actually get used to it. When I leave the car, I get shouts and stuff.
Okay, try Jason. Nice try.
Jason, so my question to you is,
all right,
going back a little bit, you ended up in Madison because you went to school at Wisconsin.
Right.
And then you must have met your wife there because you've never left. You fell in love with such a great community, which it is.
True.
something that I'm sorry that I didn't even look at Wisconsin. I don't, but you got into print early on?
In college, yeah.
Okay. And then how did you end up doing what you're doing now?
Well, what's interesting, maybe it's not interesting, but I got into print and then I couldn't get a job out of college because they weren't hiring guys who look like me in 1992 at newspapers.
What does that mean?
They weren't hiring white Midwestern guys at newspapers.
Okay.
That was the first wave of the diversity push. And
I thought it was guys with glasses. I didn't know.
That didn't help. But which was fine. And it was just like, I'm going to try to do other things. And I went into marketing and learned about the internet, learned how to build websites, and built up my skills in web design, and then got a job in media because I knew those skills. So sort of got back into print through digital, which is not the necessary path necessarily. And it's funny because in like 1995, everyone was like, yo, you're learning the internet. That's going to be great for the future. You're thinking of the future, not the past. And I think that largely that was true, but the internet in 2020 is so different from the internet in 1995 that, now it would have been good to know how to edit video, even though those would have been old video technologies, but having that eye for editing video would have been good. Or so some of those things now at 50, I'm going back and, podcasts, learning about audio, it's really a radio skill, but learning about some of that stuff. So anyway,
it's funny when I worked with the Tribune Entertainment in Chicago, we were owned by Tribune Company, who had decided at that point to buy the Times Mirror Company at a time when newspapers were going under. So they bought Times Mirror, which was the Los Angeles Times and the New York Newsday. And then after they bought them, they found out that the circulation wasn't what they thought it was.
Yeah.
And it really took our whole company down. We were doomed from that point on. Then they ended up selling the Chicago Cubs. But yeah, print became in the mid 90s sort of that past. And you had to have the digital.
Do you see yourself in television until the end? Like, is that, or is there like a third act for Rick Marker?
You know what? That's a great question. I would really like to stay in the television business because it is still fun and I still love it. It has nothing to do with, money or anything like that. I would do it for free. Well, I would do it for health insurance.
Yeah.
But the business is changing. It's a lot of what I do is becoming sort of archaic. It's a little old now because my company, Warner Brothers, was bought by AT&T, who decided to do a streaming service, which is HBO Max. Yeah. So I think that the HBO Max is the focus of the company, not so much television syndication. And they want all that product to go to their own streaming service. Now you've got Warner Brothers, you've got NBC has the new Peacock, ABC has Disney Plus. All these companies, CBS, do the same thing that I do right now. So I do see that there's going to be a shift. So when you talk about a third act, listen, Amazon driving is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I would like to be a greeter at Walmart. I think I could really pull that off.
Of course.
Puzzles.
Puzzles is definitely not in my future.
All right, we are going to. That was fascinating, Rick, and that's real value for our viewers. Lesage has made his way into the Facebook Live, so we
have to screen that question first.
We will maybe end it on this, and if you feel the need to freeze again, feel free. Lesage asks, Rick, could you tell us about the quote unquote sport you and Boondorf participated in college? Randy Boondorf, of course, who we're talking about here.
That is absolutely the dumbest question I've ever heard. And I'm not lying. I'm not trying to like hide something. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Okay.
All right.
There was a great.
There you go.
That was a great question, Mike.
Now we need Boondorf.
Wasted our time.
Your
We need
secret's safe with
Boondorf.
us. We should track down Boondorf and Munson and that whole, it's a whole
You know what?
other.
These guys are not as social as some of us. So we might have to do like one of those 5-way calls again.
Maybe so. Yeah.
You know what?
Well, I will appreciate your help in booking. We probably interviewed how many of us? Like 40 or 50 of us, only not even 10% of our class.
Right.
So Rick, we're going to be calling on you to help us do some booking. You're in?
This sounds like you guys are wrapping it up.
We are wrapping it
We
up,
are.
I think.
I thought we were going over like 2 hours, so you had enough material.
We see, this is why we're teasing, again, another industry term here. We're teasing the encore.
I see.
But you got to leave the people wanting more, right? That's the whole
I've got
idea.
plenty more.
Rick, this has been great.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
I seriously learned a lot from this, and
did.
I appreciate it.
I can't imagine what you learned.
That you brought your A game to tonight. And we thank, of course, cheerleading, Mike says. Cheerleading.
Okay. Well, he should have said that instead of quote unquote sport.
Yeah.
I was a college cheerleader at the University of
What?
Minnesota. I'm sorry, we got to get going now. That's all we have tonight, folks.
That is fantastic. So you were on the U of M cheer squad with Boondorf?
Well, he got on it, but then he quit because he couldn't do anything. He couldn't lift up the girls, and Randy had a hard time doing the backflips.
Did you do backflips?
One time, yes.
This
didn't
is
go well.
Fantastic. Oh my God,
in fact-
this is great.
Listen, we got to get going, I'm sure, but I have a lot of stories that dovetail from that cheerleading story.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. We do have to go because we have some other things
I have to
we
eat
have to
dinner.
do with our
Is
wives.
this the first time that you guys have ever had to just get somebody off the phone?
Cut it off.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Listen, it's after 9 o'clock here, and I haven't eaten either. So
Yeah, you gotta
But
eat.
listen, there's a lot more time for you to help us get some of these people on and be a correspondent. Help us with some of these great questions.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I'm going to
There's
work on
many
that.
ways to contribute.
Yes.
And we appreciate it very much.
Yes.
And
Thank
this
you.
has been
Thank you,
great.
guys.
And it was great to see you. And it's great to see you're doing well in New
Thank you.
Jersey.
And
And
a very, very happy Thanksgiving to you both, and to all the viewers out there.
and to everyone, happy Thanksgiving. We wish we could do this at T Rights, but we're not going to be able to, or Champs or Scoreboard or whatever. Marnie, happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank you. Be safe, everyone. Thank
Be
you.
safe,
Rick.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. We'll see you next week. Laura
Sounds
Etnier and Kyle Smith.
Yes.
Oh, that's going to be fun.